Hi everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. I have spent the past several weeks designing my 2026 planner. Yes, we're only halfway through the year, but I have spent a few hours here and there designing all my own inserts for my rings planner. So this is a Naya Papery personal wide 30mm planner. I bought this secondhand off of Mama of More Plans here on YouTube and on Instagram. I'm just gonna take you through the spreads I have so far. It's pretty much complete from what I can tell. I'm sure it's a rings planner, so if things do come up, over the next several months, whatever, even well into next year, I can always just design more inserts to go in. But here's what I have so far. So the planner is really lovely. This color is amazing and it's nice and worn in, right? Because it's secondhand. So I love touching it and playing with it. It's all the gold hardware for the rings. I have a couple of blank sheets of paper here. This is paper that I ripped out of a Kokuyo campus book. So the paper is the Midori paper from what I understand. And I love the feeling of this more than Tomoe River paper. It's a little thicker too. So this is gonna be like my scratch paper or notes planner, things that just kind of almost like loose leaf paper that I just grab. I bought this ruler off of Filofax. So I have two different sets of dividers going on here. I have this very clear one that I bought off Amazon, but I hate that it's like very staticky. So like the papers will just stick to it. Like you can see from this page, this first page will just stick to it. So I actually went to OK Plans and I bought this like kind of more vellum-y, semi-transparent dividers, and I like that much better because the other paper won't stick to it. So just for the first page though, because I have this 2026 yearly calendar spread, I'm fine with actually it sticking to it, right? Because I can just when I flip it, it'll just take me straight into my first pages I never need to use this like separately. It's just a page that it's easy to flip to when I'm trying to figure out like what day this date falls on. So my first section is just monthly pages for work. I only really need monthly pages and a few scratch pages for work. So when you flip, we go straight into January 2026. And this is just all monthly pages for 2026 that I've personally designed. I put lines instead of grids. I realize I don't really use grids, but I do need lines. I like lines so that I can write straight, and I need it for, so this is how I decide to design my monthly spreads. It's very simple. I don't need a lot of frills. I don't use stickers too often. I just need it to be very simple. So lines, dates, and enough space to write in each box. That's really all I needed. This page that I had taken out, I perforated the hole so that I can just slip it in where I need. I own my own business, so this is just for staff training purposes. And so I'll just keep this in whatever month we're working on, and it'll follow me through the months. So on the last page of my monthly sections, I have this looking forward to. So I'm going to write looking forward to 2027, which is, the year following 2026. And then things that come up that I'll need to keep note of that will come up in the next year. I'm going to put, January to December of 2027, just quick notes here. The next section is my yearly collections. So these are spreads that I currently have in my book-bound planners that I kind of want to keep together, like my yearly collections. Right now, if I have a new yearly collection that I kind of want to put in my book-bound planner, I would have to find like an extra notes page to stick it in, and then kind of like keep a tab there so that I can flip to it very easily. But now that I'm in rings, I can just literally stick in whatever yearly collections that I want to create. So I created this yearly tracker. So you can see it just goes from January to June, July to December. The months are stacked, and because I use this kind of like a check method, I just check off the days as we go. I have no dates in here either, right? It's really just the 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll just keep going down like the second Thursday. And because I do keep I try to check in with my planner at least, every day, every other day. I'm pretty good about keeping a tracker like this, even with no dates. So I'm going to put in like the core habits that I'm planning to track. So usually for me, that's workouts, if I've eaten sugar or no sugar that day, if I drank alcohol or no alcohol that day. I want to start 2 new trackers. That's if I've eaten takeout or if I've bought a meal for myself that day instead of cooking it or eating something from home. And then if my kids get sick, I want to start that new tracker. I saw someone, a planner mom, starting that, and I thought that was like really genius. So I actually would be completely fine making a tracker like this where I just have the months and then the days, and then, in a grid style, I'll just go in and mark it. But what I really like about this tracker is that I can see trends of like every Thursday I eat takeout, or every Sunday I drink alcohol, or whatever it might be. I love seeing those weekly trends. So this is, I'm really like excited to use these trackers, and I think it'll be really fun. Generally, my habits I'm tracking on a yearly basis. So I already have that spread going in my current 2025 planner, right? So I have a very similar spread for workouts and then alcohol and sugar, right? So I do track it pretty regularly. So I'm excited to kind of keep that in a more weekly style, if that makes sense. Okay, after that, I have my goal setting page. This is heavily inspired or pretty much copied from Sterling Ink, as you can see. Someday, 1 year, half year, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. And again, I put this lined. I don't need the grids for goal setting. I just write. So it's just lined. And then I only have space for 5 habits. I think the Sterling Ink had 7, and I was almost like forcing myself to create another category in my life. So the beauty of having my own rings is that I can just put 5 categories if I want 5 categories. So obviously this is going to be filled in much later this year. And then my quarterly pages. So I love having quarterly pages. I love it in the Sterling Ink. So I designed my own kind of quarterly pages for 2026. And so this looks very similar, right, to the Sterling Ink. I'm going to have the quarter goals, priorities. And then if I've completed them, January, February, March for Q1, January, February, March. This side is going to be non-date specific things that I have coming up, right? If it's date specific, I'm just going to have it in my Google Calendar. So I don't need to write it again in my quarterly pages, but these are things that are, just tasks that are not in my Google Calendar that I want to accomplish at some point that month. So that's, the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, I always do small wins, like things that it's not going to make it into any, my monthly, section. But just things that happened that I just want to remember, like even like not great things. So, my husband and I just got back from a trip and we both got sick. Traveler sicknesses. And then the fact that we emerged from that and we were actually doing okay, like I want to remember that because that was 3 or 4 days taken out of our month. That was really rough. So just, we got over our travel sicknesses. My son went to the dentist and didn't cry today, right? Those are things that I want to write in my wins for the month on the right-hand side. And then for the left-hand side of the page, you can see it's just another, monthly calendar, for Q1, January, February, March, and then I just stacked the months so I don't have to have 3 separate calendars for the 3 separate months. And usually it's really helpful to see it like this, right? Where one month just bleeds into the other because, I want to see like my full week, even when it's the end of a month and the start of a new month. So usually when I project plan and it's a bigger project, I use these spreads anyway. So I just thought it would be a great idea to put it back to back with my quarterly, spreads. So Q2, Q3, Q4. Nothing changed obviously except for the dates. This is going to be my reading tracker. I have this right now in my Sterling Ink planner. I'm using this from my quarterly sections. I'm using this as my reading tracker. So you can see I use this section to track the books I'm reading for the month. And then on top, I've been just writing what book that was. But in 2026, I'm going to dedicate a 4-page spread to that, right? So the first half of the year and the second half of the year. And then I'm thinking on the bottom, I'll just write how many books I completed that month. I'm not entirely sure what the lines were for. So I'll figure something out for that. I do have very light lines of where each week ends, just because I didn't write the Monday to Sunday on the dates so that it's just easy for me to kind of keep my eye on what week we're working on. And then I have a few log pages, and that brings me to the end of my yearly collections for now. So this one's going to be the books read, right? So the books read log. So number 1, I read this book by this author, and then what rating I gave it. I have this currently in my Sterling Ink planner. So it's going to be very similar to this. And then on this side, I'm gonna track. It's gonna be a log for date nights. We have a 3-year-old and a 6-month-old, so we do not go on dates very often. So when I do go on them, I just want to keep track of what we did. I usually do date, what we did, and then what we did in terms of childcare during that date. And then that brings me to the end of my yearly collections. But the beauty is, when I want to start tracking or logging something else, I can just keep adding to this section, right? I don't need to find a random page that I now need to keep track of in order to track something else for the year. So that's my yearly section. And then that brings us into my personal months. I'm not gonna show you, there's nothing in depth here. It looks exactly like my work months. I literally just printed it twice, but this is just for personal events, not work events. And then the same idea for the looking ahead to 2027, just for personal things. The next section is my bread and butter of planning. It's my weeks, my weeklies. However, it's currently the most sparse section. So I just have this cover page, and my weeks currently just look like this. I am a vertical planner. So in my Sterling Ink, I am the vertical weekly girl, and I'm very comfortable using this. I made a few tweaks for the new planner. It's very similar to 2020, my current planner. A few changes, of course. So my weekends are stacked. I used to love the idea of having unstacked weekends, right? Just for continuity's sake. And so it's easier for your eyes to kind of travel through the week from a left to right basis. But I have to admit that my weeks are just a little emptier than my weekends are a little emptier than my weeks. My weeks are where I have to-do lists galore and things to do in the morning, in the afternoon, and the evening, and things are just, very, very busy during the week. Especially since my kid's in school now, that tends to be more true. And my weekends always have events or things to do, but it's just more sparse, right? Like maybe I have one event in the morning, I have one event in the evening or the afternoon, but it's not like I have 5 things to do before my morning event and then 5 things to do in the evening as well. So I did stack my weeks. If you want to come, I'll bring it a little closer, but I do have a time. So 8, 9, 10, 8 to 7 p.m. My work ends at 7, so it's just a good delineation for me. And then afterwards, it's just get home and do bedtime, right? So I don't have a ton of after work, I never have after work events, especially during the week. And then I did every half-hour increments. I also use these as to-do lists lines, right? So if I start work at, let's just say 11, I can use this top part as things I want to do in the morning before I go to work. So it's just good to have a lot more lines for me. I have written L and D in my weeks to indicate what I ate for lunch and then what I ate for dinner. I didn't do that for Saturday, Sunday, but I'll just write it in if I don't have any evening events on Saturday and Sunday. If I'm ever gonna have an evening event, it's gonna be on the weekends. So that's why I left the L&D blank here, just in case, but that's very easy. I can just write it in as the week goes. As you can see, it's undated. So I'm just gonna go in the last week of December, the first week of January, and just write the dates in. And someone had said that they can never get used to rings because they hate having the rings when you're writing, right? And I totally agree with that, right? Especially on a Tuesday or Wednesday, it's super annoying. And I'm not saying this isn't gonna change. I might change my mind, but I think for me, the most amount of time I spend in my planner is on a Sunday night or Sunday morning or Sunday night when I'm setting up the new week. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull these 2 pages out. I'm gonna, take it out and plan, the way I do now in a book bound planner. Just write it out and then stick it back in my rings. And throughout the week, I don't actually of course I make changes and but most of what I'm doing is checking things off as I go and adding things here and there. I don't actually sit down that often and like have much more to write every week other than like to-do lists. And that goes everywhere. That's like in my phone and in my planner, and like it's in a lot of different places. So I think I'm gonna be okay with the idea of rings, because I am not trying to write on top of it for a lot of the day, right? A lot of my to-do list, the things I have to do for the day, and a lot of my like weekly tasks I know by Sunday what that's gonna look like. So I think because I plan like that, I don't plan on like a daily basis. I think I'm gonna be much more comfortable with the rings than I'm like kind of nervous about. So if that changes, it changes. Like I said, like I'm trying not to be too rigid with myself in terms of these planners. So I'll go in there and like check things off that I've done, and also fill in my lunch and dinners. So I think the rings won't bother me as much. If that changes, if I have to go back into a book bound planner, that's something I'll deal with at that point. And then that's my last spread of right now. I only have 1 week in here because I can just go in and print out my next week. If this worked really well this week, I'll just print the same spread for next week. If there's something I want to change, if I want to unstack my weekends, I can design that insert, and I already have, and I can print that for the next week, right? If I have a very busy weekend, that's something I can think about. I can change my weeks. If there's a spread that really interests me and I want to give it a shot, I can design it and print it and try it again. So I don't think I'm going to do this on a weekly basis, but I might try that on like a monthly basis, right? Like, so all of January, I might use stacked weeks. And then all of February, I might use unstacked weeks. All of March, I might use horizontal weeks, right? Like the world is my oyster. I can literally do whatever I want. And if I get inspired by a certain planner that's coming out, and they have like a really great spread for weeks, if they have a 4-page week spread, I can literally design that myself and print it and stick it in. So, right now, right at this moment, where knowing that the weekly spread is where I plan the absolute most, and I spend the most amount of time in, I'm at planner piece because I can change it, right? Like, I'm not like committing to one planner for all of 2026. I'm literally committing to a week. I'm committing to, a month at a time. So there really is no commitment here. The only commitment really is the rings itself, this system itself. This can't go anywhere, right? So, obviously there's 6 months left in the year. There's a ton of planners coming out in the next 6 months. We'll see how it goes. But right now, like when I see new planners, all I'm thinking is, oh, maybe I can try that one of the weeks in 2026. Or, oh, maybe I want that collection in my collection section, right? Maybe that's something I want to track. So I think that's why I'm so happy with my decisions so far. And I'm at least willing to give it a really good shot in 2026. For my next divider, I'm going to put in my monthly reviews. I do that every month. I think about what happened in the last month and how I feel about it. I think about my outlook for the coming month, and I type that. I type my monthly review and my entries. So, and I can journal more and just stick it in, right? Right now, what I've been doing in my Sterling ink is I'll print it on sticky paper and I'll literally like glue it down. And I just feel like that's kind of a waste of paper, right? Like I'm like wasting my notes pages in like certain ways because I'm not handwriting it. I find that when I handwrite journal entries, I write less, and I'm less inclined to do it. Like after a few paragraphs, I'm like exhausted and I just don't want to do it anymore. But when I type it, I write more, I'm more expressive with my thoughts. There's things that come up and I'm able to add on to it later on. So it just leaves me a lot of flexibility to do that. And I'm going to devote a whole section to it. So this will be my monthly reviews. And then of course, any notes pages that come up. And then my last section, right now I just have blank note pages just for somewhere to keep them. But I was thinking of archiving my weeks. Instead of keeping them all like in this section, I can just have like the most current week. But that's really not a big deal. If I end up keeping it in the week section, I can find something else to do in this section. It could be work related. The beauty of the system is, I can change it up as I go. Nothing is permanent, so I can move my weekly section to the back if I really want to. And I have a lot of room to grow. And then I just have this this page lifter. I also bought this from OK Plans on Etsy. A couple other things. This is the pen that I'm probably going to use for this planner. It's a multi-pen, but there's a pencil, there's black, and then there's red. So pencil is what I use for planning for work, just so I have the flexibility to erase it. So I need a pencil like in my work planner. So because this is now all in one, I need a pencil option. So if it's something I'm going to stick here, I need a pencil. I have black pen, which is what I use for planning purposes. And I also have a red option. So I thought it would be really fun on Sundays when I do the bulk of my planning to write in black as I normally do. And then as the week starts and things change, I can do any like additions in red just to see like how my week changes throughout. I just thought that would be fun. This is the Pentel Energel 2S, it says, but it's only 3 barrels. Most of them have they have like 4 barrels. Like I don't need 4 colors. I really just need one, honestly. All I really wanted was a pencil and a black pen, like a black barrel, ink barrel. But this is the closest I found to that. So I keep that in here. It doesn't fit perfectly because of the grip. It's a little snug, but you know, I can just kind of like, I can get it in there. So that's what I've been keeping so far. Let me know what you think about my spreads. If there's any spreads that you think like that you've never seen before. Like I've never seen a spread like this before, but this is the spread that I created in all my planners when I need to plan on a longer basis. Like on a 3-month or a 6-month basis, these are the calendars that I use. It doesn't actually help me that much to have calendars like this because I can't plan across the weeks once the month ends. Whereas here, I can just kind of keep going and see like my trends throughout the whole 6 months or whole 1 year of plans. I also am so obsessed with my quarterly trackers because I can refer to it in 2 different ways. I can refer to it in a calendar form and see exactly like, oh, can I commit to this vacation? Let me see what my quarters look like or that month looks like on a larger scale. And when you plan on a monthly basis, it's just a little harder to see like that big picture. So I'm really excited about my quarterly spread as well. If there's any of these spreads that really interest you and you like really have never seen it before, please let me know. I'm so curious. A lot of these have been inspired, but mostly they're just things that in a bullet journal, they're things that I actually draw and use. Or if I just need my notes pages, when I just need to like plan more, these are the spreads that I actually draw in my grids. And then I create like a 3-month plan for myself here. So that's exactly what I use. And that's why I'm really excited to have designed this, and I could just print out more as I need it. Oh, and then I forgot to add this one, but I just have like a running to-do list page that's also perforated. So this will follow me from week to week. And I'll just fill up like each side. And then when it's done, I'll archive it and I'll just start a new page. So I'm really thrilled about my decisions and my inserts so far. Yeah, let me know what you think and let me know how you guys are feeling about 2026. It's only July and I already hear about pre-orders and I'm just like, but I have no desire to go on that page and find out what people are pre-ordering, which is such a relief. I've gone down this rabbit hole of like next year's planners every year for the past at least 10 years or more. I've had some form of a planner since college, and I've had a planner in high school too, right? But that's just what they had given us to like write down what things are due. But I'm like, when I do get inspired by those planners, I'm just thinking, oh, okay, I can like, how can I create that insert by myself in Canva? And how can I tweak it to be exactly the way I want it to be, right? There's always things that are not perfect for you, and it can't be. None of these companies can make a planner that's perfect for you because they're not designing for you. But I personally on Canva can. If you have any questions about any of my spreads or anything going on, leave them below. I'm happy to chat. I know it's been a long time since I've made a video, but I've actually spent kind of that like time in between to design these inserts, and I'm so like excited about where we are. For 2025, I'm not in this at all. So this is just sitting on my desk or sitting on my bookshelf until next year. I'm not even going to touch it. There's no reason to. I am 100% determined to finish out my 2025 in my sterling ink my sterling ink N1 that I'm already, halfway through. I'm not going to change it. I want to keep the whole full year in here. So I'm learning lessons from my time in N1 and figuring it out for my personal wide. For example, I know that this is too narrow for me, and that's why I'm in a personal wide next year, which is close to B6 size. And when I have a lot of collections in the front. All right, I have collections in the front. I have goal setting in the front. I have my mood tracker in the front. And then I was like, oh, I really want to create a books read tracker. So I had to create it in the back because I don't want to flip through a random page in my notes to get that, right? I'd rather just flip to the back. And this is my 2026 looking ahead. When I wanted to create a takeout tracker, I had to create it in the back because it's just so hard to get to when you're planning within notes pages. So I'm not saying I'm never going to be the book bound planner again, but the flexibility that having a rings provides really is really exciting me for this next year. So drop me any comments down below. Thank you so much for watching.